Hello everyone. So today in your English lecture we are going to start with your first chapter, which is a portrait of a lady. This is the first chapter from your Hornbill book. So in this today's lecture I'm just going to give you a brief introduction or the summary of the chapter. A portrait of a lady. What do you mean by a portrait? Portrait means a drawing of something, or you can say an image. Okay, so the writer is Khushwant Singh here. Khushwant Singh has written this story, and through this story, a portrait of a lady, the writer is trying to create a portrait or an image in the writer's mind, or in our mind. He's trying to create a portrait of whom? Of his grandmother. Okay, so in this chapter he's talking about his grandmother, how his relationship was with his grandmother, and how their relationship got spoiled or it changed, and how did his grandmother eventually died. Okay, so you will see in the first para the writer is talking about his grandmother, her appearance. She was very old, and the writer had seen the grandmother since 20 years, and since 20 years he had seen her very old face. Okay, she had wrinkled face, she used to walk like bent. Obviously when people get old, they are no more, they do not walk that straight, and they walk in a bent position. So all of these the writer is trying to tell in the first para. And he also says that it is hard for him to believe that the grandmother or his grandmother once had a young and a youthful childhood. Okay, because he had always seen her very old, so that is why it is hard for him to believe that she had a youthful childhood. And after that, in the next para, he talks about the grandmother's routine. Okay, वो क्या क्या करते थे घर पे, like he says that he used to live with his grandmother because his parents were working in city, so they lived in city, and they left the writer with his grandmother. So both of them, they used to live together in village. And he says that the grandmother used to wake him up every morning. He used to send him to school. They used to walk together to school, because in ancient times, like there was no proper school, and around the corner of a temple, the students used to get together, and they used to learn the what? They used to learn the ritual or the religious scripts. Okay, so this was their education that was there in the ancient times. And on the way back home, they used to walk back together home, and on the way they used to feed the dogs in their way. Okay, so after some time, what happened is, when his parents got settled in the city properly, they called the grandmother and the writer also in the city. So that is when their relationship got changed, or it took a turning point. Okay, and now in this city he used to go to a proper school. He used to learn English, he used to learn science, mathematics and all. Now how their relationship got strained, or it got worse, because he used to learn new subjects in which the grandmother was no more interested. Okay, now that is why the grandmother showed no more interest that what the writer was learning in school. So after that, and in the city, she did not used to go out, so that is why she could not feed the dogs. Instead, there was a balcony in their house, so she used to go out there, and she used to feed the sparrows with some bread. Okay, she used to break the bread into little pieces, and she used to give it to the sparrows. So a time came when the writer grew up, and he had to go abroad for further studies. So he had in his heart that maybe he was close to his grandmother, so maybe he thought that the grandmother would be very sad if like he went abroad for further studies, okay. But that did not happen, because the grandmother had become very insensitive and she had become emotionless, and she came and dropped the writer to the railway station, and she kissed the writer, but she did not show any emotion, okay. Why this has happened? Because when they moved to city, there was a strain in their relationship, okay. So that is why the grandmother was no more that close to the writer. So when she kissed the writer thought that my grandmother is very old now, I'll be coming to home like only in 5 years from now, and maybe this is the last time that I'm seeing her, okay. So after that he went abroad, did his studies, and after 5 years he came back, and at the railway station again the grandmother came and picked him up, okay. Again she did not have any emotion, she did not show any happiness or anything. She just hugged the writer, and both of them, they went back home. Now that day what happened is, in the evening she started behaving very strangely. What happened? She stopped chanting his mantras and saying his prayers. Instead, what did she do? She gathered all the neighbors together. She took a drum and she started beating it very heavily, okay. And the family members tried to stop her, but she did not stop, okay. And next morning what happened is, next morning she felt sick, okay. She had high fever, and the family members, the writer and his parents, what did they do? They called the doctor, and the doctor said that she will be okay, the fever will be gone in some time. But that did not happen, and the grandmother herself knew that she was going to die, okay. She said also that I'm going to die, so I'm not interested in talking to any people anymore. So what did she do? She just lied in her bed, and she was just chanting her mantra with the mala in her hand. And after some time the family members noticed that the chanting of mantra from her lips stopped, okay, and the mala that she had in her hand, it fell, okay. So that is how they realized that the grandmother had died. So after that her body was wrapped in a red piece of cloth, and then it was laid on the ground. So what happened? They went to see her body in the veranda where she used to feed the sparrows. What did the family members see? They saw that all the sparrows had come near her body, but they were not chirping, okay. They were all silent, and all of them had gathered near the grandmother's body. And the writer's mother feeded the sparrows with some bread, but they did not eat it, and they were just silent and was just sitting near the grandmother's dead body. So they took the dead body, and the sparrows also, they flied away. After next morning, what happened is, obviously the room cleaner and the sweeper came, and they cleaned the breadcrumbs, okay. So that is the story which tells about the writer's grandmother. It is a very touching story, and in the next class we will do this story in detail, and I will be explaining you the chapter line by line explanation in detail. Alright, thank you.